When you think of the Amish, you probably think of a life without conveniences. No cars, no electricity, and definitely not social media influencers. But what if I told you that there is some out there, and instead of a quaint lifestyle, it's more like having beers with the boys?
If you don't smoke, your hangover is
That's a good one there.
No, I didn't pull an Alex Jones and sneak into a secret Amish community and record that. I just found it on TikTok, which actually is kind of funny because Congress was right. China's in everything if they've managed to get into the Amish.
Have you ever been a member of the Chinese Communist Party?
Senator, I'm Singaporean.
Listen, if having Bud Lights with the boys hasn't sold you yet on being Amish, what about two 12-inch subwoofers in the back of the buggy?
I had to take a video of this because y'all wouldn't believe it. Look at my man. What's your name, man? Jacob. Look at Jacob. Got the 1,000-watt Pioneer hooked up to the Marine battery, and my man is pushing. Look, this is crazy.
Jacob's pushing more power than that creepy 26-year-old who drives a 2002 Honda Civic and is dating a high schooler. If you actually want to know about the history of the Amish and what makes Amish people Amish, go watch this video by Masa Man. It's fantastic and describes the history of the Anabaptist, which would become the Amish in America and all over the world. All you're really going to need from that video to watch this one is the idea of Ordung, I'm not German, 1 second.
Ordnung.
Yeah, that word, which essentially means that each Amish community has their own rules, which they decide. They kind of make a choice on what technologies are going to harm their community and what technologies they can use. This brings me to the first Amish influencer we're going to talk about.
So my Amish community does not know that I even have a phone. Well, I think they know I have a phone, but not that I have TikTok or they wouldn't know what that is. But I got it so that I could take a pick at changing some of the assumptions that people have about the Amish and the bad tastes they have for a lot of things that were made up for movies and stuff that really don't happen.
So that's Elise. She claims to be Amish, living in an Amish community in Alaska, and her stated purpose is to get rid of the stigma surrounding Amish people. To be honest, she doesn't always do the best job of that. I mean, I guess she's trying. Also, if you would like to help her in her pursuit of 15 kids, she's taking applications.
So yes, I am taking husband applications. There's just a few standard, qualifications. You have to want 15 kids, have the same beliefs as me, want to live the off-grid homestead lifestyle, and also be able to be called absolutely insanely crazy by everyone and their mama. Oh, and don't forget my TikTok family. You have to pass their inspection too.
Listen, before you all go start filling out applications to become her next husband, she's in a little bit of controversy right now. And it's not the first time a Amish influencer has been in some controversy, mainly surrounding whether or not she's actually Amish. Yes, everyone covered someone named Sarah Joy, and I suggest you check out literally any of these videos to watch about that, because I discovered it while I was making this video, and it was pretty interesting, and some parallels. The difference with Elise is she claimed to be Amish or live in an Amish community in her first few TikToks, the ones that blew up. But later on, when pressed about some inconsistencies, her story changes.
Okay, so I want to answer your question. Okay, so I was born in an Amish community, was not technically Amish because I did not join the church. Me and my family could not abide by some of the man-made rules. We would only abide by local rules. We didn't have any horror stories leaving the Amish, stuff like that, like ex-Amish, whatever. It was quite the opposite, and honestly, I didn't want to leave. But yeah, we came to Alaska, started a homestead, trying to be self-sufficient. Our whole family still dressed modestly because we like the Amish standards and moral values and stuff. There's just a couple rules that we didn't abide by. Now, I want to set some things straight. Amish are not like the polygamist or the LDS or a couple other things. And for sure not Muslims, stuff like that. You would be surprised how many questions I get out of that. So yeah, I just try to dress modestly. I live the, self-sufficient life and everything. I just have a couple of the modern commodities a phone and stuff. But other than that, we're off-grid living a homesteading life.
The craziest part about that is she obviously watches my YouTube channel, talking about the LDS Church and homesteaders, aka doomsday preppers. Go watch it if you want to know more. After learning about that term we did earlier,
Ordnung.
I don't think it's up to you or me to decide who's Amish, because even Amish people agree that different Amish communities are going to decide who's actually Amish. Therefore, I think ganging up or getting mad at Elise is kind of pointless. So let's move on to another creator, someone who is actually ex-Amish and is a full-fledged influencer with 1 million followers. His name is Yoder Toder, and he is formerly an Old Order Amish, which is a mouthful to say. but essentially the most stereotypical Pennsylvania Dutch Amish person you could picture.
Alrighty, I figured I'd come visit my mother. It's been 8 months. She told me to do it once per year, but I figured I would come out here, just button up this button here all the way up top. She doesn't like a lay-down collar. And also, I have to wear this hat, or she won't let me visit. Shoo, now I can open up my collar, lay it back down. I just kept it up just to respect her and then left the hat on. But it went very good. I visited with her for about an hour. It was awesome. It was great. Now I just got to wait about a year till I can do it again.
If you couldn't tell, Yoder's not on the best terms with the Amish community. He's only allowed to visit his mom once a year. The Amish community, like most very strict religious groups, like the Mormons or whoever, will excommunicate you or shun you if you leave the community. They don't necessarily view him as a good person anymore. So much so that his most popular TikTok is actually kind of sad.
Well, it's that time again. Putting up some flowers on my father's grave, and you know, it's 4 times now they destroyed it, and this time I'm hoping I can catch to see who it is, because the sheriff's department did tell me that if I catch whichever Amish is coming out destroying and vandalizing my father's grave, to let them know. So check out the camera here. And right here we got the camera.
For a second I was worried that they would see that video, but then I remembered that they're Amish, so they're not gonna have TikTok on their phone, right? Unless someone were to give them a phone where they could watch TikTok, right?
This is how you smuggle a smartphone into an Amish community. As you can see, I am underneath a bridge. I was given this specific location in the Amish community, and I'm not going to give away the location. And the non-Amish friend had a phone, and these youngsters were watching me on TikTok, and they wanted a phone. So they told him to go let me know. So I had an extra smartphone, and we're going to put it right up in here. And I told him I want $100 for it. Now, in a couple days, I'm coming back out here, and I'm going to check in the Amish community here underneath this bridge to see if they got $100 in there. And then if I can trust them, then I'll smuggle some more phones into the community. Sure enough, there's the baggie. Look at that, 250s. They actually put $100 in there just like I told them.
What's actually crazy about giving those kids a phone is that the service is being paid for by like a charity. I don't know if it's like his charity or if people are just giving him money to pay for the service, but those kids won't have to pay for service for at least some time, and they probably never will because they're not going to keep meeting in that spot and get found out. Yoder has actually been helping a ton of people who want to leave the Amish community because maybe they don't feel accepted or they're under pressure or whatever it may be. He even goes to like ex-Amish events or anything to try and help people cope with being excommunicated or shunned. He actually has a really kind of touching story about a gay member of the Amish community.
Today was the first time I heard from a gay Amish man, and he tells me he's getting ready to leave the Amish literally overnight. He started a relationship with a non-Amish man, fell in love with him, and he wants to pursue a relationship with him. I have heard from so many Amish and former Amish. Some of them I have helped leave the Amish personally. Now, this man reached out, and he is sharing with me how he was only 2 weeks away from marrying his Amish girlfriend. Now, there's a lot of planning that goes into Amish weddings. It's a huge deal traditionally for an Amish wedding. Lots of food involved. Hundreds, if not thousands of people attend these Amish weddings, and it's a big deal. And he shared with me how he knew he was going to get shunned. It's not okay by the church, but he didn't want to say anything. So he's planning on leaving overnight and moving in with his English non-Amish boyfriend to have a relationship. But he is not going to pursue the Amish wedding, and he's going to leave literally overnight. And I told him I wish him the best of luck.
You know what? I might actually join the Amish because they use English as a pejorative.
Well, at least our schools are not a shooting gallery, mate!
I couldn't understand what that guy was saying, and I'm too afraid to ask. So let's move on. Let's talk about another creator, because we've talked about somebody who was never Amish, a former Amish, but what about somebody who is actually Amish? Oh, and they know Yoder, so we kind of know how they got on TikTok, right?
Hey, I need Yoder Toder to figure out how to smuggle a car into the Amish, because this is a cold ride.
Johnny is actually as Amish as it gets. He's truly kind of doing this under the cover of night. Most of his videos are just like short little glimpses into an Amish lifestyle. Do you guys remember that clip I put at the very beginning of the video? If not, here, let me refresh your memory. It looks like they've upgraded from Bud Light to Twisted Teas, so that's good, and I'm guessing they have a pretty good hookup with that. Johnny and his teenage friends obviously have cell phones because I'm pretty sure that the first video I showed you in this was a different angle from one of the girls there and that same barn. Honestly, most of Johnny's TikToks are not that interesting, except for the fact that they're really short glimpses into an Amish lifestyle, like authentically. That's also not to say that there isn't like authentic television shows, because even Johnny shows that there is film crews out in his Amish community. There is shows about Amish people which have really documented their life. I actually have a theory as to why the Amish are so popular in content. I mean, even when I was young, there was a show on TLC about the Amish. Turns out years later that they weren't actually Amish, or they had left the Amish long before that, and were just kind of putting on an act to generate views and money. To be honest, the influencers are doing the same thing those people on the television show were. They're using the mystique of Amish people and their world to generate money. And that's okay. Listen, I don't really have an issue with it. The Amish are kind of unique. They're people living in 1800 right next to us in 2024. There's also something to be said about it kind of appealing to this radical conservative idea that's been growing the last few years. This idea of like returning to a more primitive lifestyle, something when a man had control over a woman, or more man control over his environment, which is not really true, but does appeal to a certain type of person. You can actually see me talk more about that in my Doomsday Prepper video, but for this one, let's just leave it at it's a traditionalist mindset that some people are drawn to, which isn't necessarily bad on its own. It's just oftentimes traditionalist ideas come with bigoted ideas that we've grown past and don't really need anymore. The Amish are somewhat different. Yes, they are isolated, but they still interface with society, and they probably still know what's going on in the world of politics. Living in America, it's impossible to avoid politics. Politics are in every part of your life, and the Amish, as much as they try to remove themselves, are obviously going to be affected by it. So they definitely stay updated on what is going on in, say, social justice or anything like that. They need to know what's going to affect them or their society while living in America. So I was going to end the video right here, but in the process of making this video, one of the Amish accounts that I follow kind of had something interesting happen. Let me show you.
So you're telling me this is how the girls turn up? Then I'ma stick with the girls.
So this is Spice, and she blew up by posting TikToks of her dancing, oftentimes in rural places, with her friends who are also Amish. Sorry, that wasn't the original music. I can't afford to license JoJo Siwa. But that's the kind of TikTok she was uploading and getting literally millions of views. That one in particular, like 16.5 million, which shouldn't be surprising. As I've shown you throughout this video, being Amish or attached to Amish in any way kind of gets you clicks. It makes you popular. And she kind of maybe knew this, because what I'm about to show you is why I included it in this video.
I've heard of actors being so method they couldn't sleep at night because they were haunted by their character. They dedicated so much of their minds and bodies to their art that they weren't even able to find their way back to their authentic self. You could say that this was method, but it was much simpler than that. It started with being an actor hired to do a job playing an Amish character, and it turned into something that couldn't have been predicted. Videos that were made for fun and tossed into the void have been consumed, chewed, and analyzed by many. Am I Amish? No.
I find it crazy that Spice kind of validated the whole theory of this video. She showed that being Amish or presenting as Amish gets you clicks, it gets you views. And that was like kind of my theory going in. And it's kind of crazy to see that while I was writing and recording this video, she validated it. Plenty of content creators play characters. Look at Electro Boom or Sketch or even Dr. Disrespect. We don't have to actually look that close at the doc, because like I don't want him to like DM you if you're under 18, but we can also recognize that he was a character and his normal persona only really came out that one time.
Kind of have a little bit of an announcement.
Stupid mistakes, man. But seriously, the last point is mainly that content creators don't have to be authentic. They're making content. You can play a character if you want. I don't think it's necessarily the most ethical thing to sell yourself as being authentic when you're not, but that's not also for me to decide, that's for their audience. I think that Spice and Elise are kind of similar, actually. Spice was truly just playing a character, and people kind of jumped to conclusions. I mean, even the TikTok account. And Elise, though she kind of marketed herself as Amish, has come clean about it, but is much more true to the Amish experience, and maybe was just saying that because it made more sense to the average person. They kind of have a reference of what is being Amish. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you want to join my Discord, there'll be a link in the description, or you can come check out my Twitch channel where I'm live every day. All right, bye-bye.